This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, so the for worker, okay, these are the component needed. Don't you think so? Master has all the required components to become worker also. See that kubeproxy, you have it. These are the utility, you have it. Okay, so basically master itself act like a worker also, but by default this is disabled. Okay, this is disabled. So what to do? So simple, Kubernetes make master schedulable. So click on it, and this command you have to run it. I'm putting in the notes at the end of it, somewhere after the server. This command here, this will be your master node. So something like kubectl get nodes. So here it is a nodes master node. So like this you will run like this. Okay, understood all of you?
Is it
Understood all of
disabled by
you?
default, Rajesh? Why is it
Yeah.
disabled by default?
Master, you should not deploy your user's pod. That's the reason. Masters should deploy only the pod which is being used for managing the cluster. That's the reason. Okay. So that is the reason. So you can run this and enable that. So you don't have to have any other machines. That means one VM also can act like a master and worker and workstation. That's called mini queue actually. Okay. So minimal setup you have ready already. Just you need to run this command. Replace this one with whole command and run it in the workstation. Now what you want? My cluster is ready. So Kubernetes is asking me what do you want. So I want namespace, I want pod, I want replication controller. All these resources I want in demo number 1. In demo 2 what I want? Demo 2 I want a deployment. Okay, and demo 3 what you want? So demo 3 I want services. Okay, so these are the demo I want to show you, and then these are the labs I want to get it done before 5 o'clock. So will you support me now, all of you? Hello.
Yes.
Okay, so
So
guys,
Rajesh, a small question. On the you mentioned that master node by default these uh, be disabled, right? That means the master node will not have any pods, application pods, right?
no, no, no. There is a pods running in the master node, which is for the cluster management. But by default, the user's pod they have made it disabled. Okay, for the master node. So how to enable it? This command no schedule hyphen. So that way the master node will be allowed to schedule the user pod also. That's all.
Okay,
Got it?
okay, yeah, good.
Yeah. So now, guys, what you want? Namespace. What you want? Pod. What you want? Replication controller. So, guys, I'll teach you one secret formula for it. Okay. Any resources which you have around 72 resources which we had, you saw that. So you can apply this formula. What is the formula called? CRUD. What is this? CRUD. I think some of you must be knowing already. So anything which you want to do, let's say you want to create a namespace, you want to read a namespace, you want to update a namespace, you want to delete a namespace, you want to create a pod, you want to read a pod, you want to update a pod, you want to delete a pod, you want to create RC, and so on. So there's a two ways you can do: command line and YAML file. Okay, this also you can do command line and YAML file. Command line YAML file, command line YAML file. So now, guys, kubectl get kubectl and enter. Now you see here there is a basic command. I don't know how many of you have looked at it, but I request you to don't rush like me. I'm giving you training, but you are learning, so you have to spend more than what I am spending. So beginner command. So here create command is there, which will help me how to only create command. You should read all this thing. If you want to do through the YAML, create -f, f means file name, and YAML file. Now read command. How can we do that? So there is a command which is called get. Okay. And how do we read through the YAML file also? -f YAML file. How do you update? So there is a edit command. You can edit. And how do you edit? Apply -f YAML file. Apply means somewhere downside you'll be having. Here it is. Now, how do you delete it? So delete command is there. Okay, and YAML file if you want to do, delete -f and YAML file. Now there is one more command I want to show you through the read operation, which is called describe command. Where is that? It should be somewhere in here it is. So read, describe, and so on. So these are the pattern. Now all these API resources, 72 resources, you can apply this pattern. That means you can create any resources through command or YAML file. Okay, if command is not available anyways, you can do through the YAML file for sure. Okay, so are you comfortable with this pattern, all of you? All of
Yes,
you?
sir.
Okay, so the question is first, see, I'm not showing you the slides and all because if I go through the slides more and start discussing, showing and all, so it'll consume lots of time actually. So yeah, so namespace. What is a namespace? I will just help you to understand. So mind it, this is your cluster powered by how many worker? Maybe one worker, two worker, three worker. There is a two project. Okay, one is a red project and one is a green project. Green project means here. Okay, so see, normally when you create a cluster for your organizations, you create a one large clusters powered by thousands and thousands and thousands of worker. Okay, so that's not like one worker or something like that. In real time, we have a thousands of worker, and all worker will create a one compute unit. One compute unit. This is the whole. So let's say this is the powered by three workers. So 10 GB RAM, 10 GB RAM, 10 GB RAM. So altogether your capacity is 30 GB RAM for the clusters. Okay, like that. So now we have our one green team and one red team is there. Now both the team will deploy the pod. So how do they deploy? Let me red team, red team, red team. Okay, and now green team, green team, green team. This is how they deploy the pod. Let me ask you guys one very simple question. Let's say pod has a container. Container come from the Docker image. Docker image is nothing but your application. So if there is a problem in application which is consuming more CPU and more RAM, so let's say red has some problem. So will it impact only the red or it will impact the everyone? Tell me. This is the question. Think and tell me. Will it impact everyone or only red? See, understand that logic. This class, this pod is running in this. This pod is running in this. This pod is running in this. There is a bug. There is a bug. There is a bug. So this will consume every clusters, every worker of the clusters. So now green team is very furious, saying that hey, you are consuming more resources than what you should do. That you should do the proper testing. That's the one incident. Second incident, what happened? Green team by mistake delete the red pod. Now red team is upset because all the team project department and sub project we were using the all the same cluster. So this kind of issues will come where you will fight for resources means CPU, RAM and hard disk. You will fight for access and all stuff like that. So conflict will come. So what to do? That is where what we do, we divide the cluster into multiple part. And this part is not a division logic, physical division. It's not like I'm saying hey, you take one worker, I'm take one worker. No, 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 I'm doing the virtual division. This is a virtual division. So with this division we call it a namespace. That means dividing one cluster into the multiple part, we call it namespace. Why we create a namespace? So now you set this, okay, total capacity is 30 GB. So now you are saying hey, this namespace can use only 10 GB, this namespace only can 10 use the 10 GB. That's a limit. Now you can also set the access at the namespace level. That means this guy can access only the resources here, and this guy can only access the resources here. Okay, so namespace is basically to distribute the cluster resources and access to the multiple project, multiple team, so they can work without impacting each other. Did you understand what is a namespace? All of you?
Yes, Rajesh.
So now guys, what has happened? Then this namespace concept, then Kubernetes says, hey, let's do one thing. Let me create one namespace for myself also. That's called system namespace. Then people said, what about those people who's having no namespace? So Kubernetes created one more namespace, which is called default. Then people said, what about some pod which is common to multiple project but owned by none? Then they created a public namespace. Then admin of the Kubernetes came and they said, hey, I'm also running some pod for monitoring purpose and maintenance purpose. So what should I do? So then they created a node namespace. So basically, when you look at the cluster, kubectl get ns shortcut, okay, these namespace you will find a default, find by default those who's having no namespace: node, public, and system is the namespace where all the pod which is running for the Kubernetes cluster purpose. Are you able to understand that, all of you?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so that's the namespace. So now what we do in this case? So now nothing great. I'm going to do CRUD for namespace. So how can I do that? Look at my screen. I'm doing the command line. Okay. So here the screen. Hey, kubectl get ns list kubectl create ns dev and qs I created. See here, two namespace I created. So I can edit also. So edit namespace. What you can edit for time being, just remember the label. So this namespace is YAML file. If you know modification, then only you touch it. How to modify YAML file. Okay. So team, this is a DevOps school. Okay, I modify this one, and now describe ns. See here, I added the namespace. This is how you edit. So I created, I read it, I described it, I edited it, and finally I am going to delete it. What do you want to delete? Ns. Done. It was so simple. Did you find any problems while working with namespace, all of you? Hello, 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 I'm
Yes,
audible.
Rajesh, we are able to.
No,
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
didn't face any
Okay.
difficulties. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, guys, what you want? I want pod. How you want to create a pod? This time YAML file. Where is the YAML file? Let me copy paste. So I'll share with you the URL for it. Pod example, right? Here, pod example. This is the URL I'm putting up, so you can copy paste. In fact, code I am copying it. This is the one. Okay, what do you want? Kind pod. What is the name of the pod? This one. I'll just name simplify because I don't like that long name. Okay, what is the name? What is the labeled with? This one. This pod API. What is the version? V1 in Kubernetes. Uh, okay, pod has a container specification. What is a specification container? Okay, so this is the image. Port number, very simple. By the way, guys, it can be 500 lines of pod specifications also, because there's so many fields are there, but right now these are the only required one. If you want to, if you have an interest, you can, slowly get into those pods fields also. So right now it's not needed. Create a pod. How do I do that? So guys, I'll just vi pod dot yaml. That's all. Any file name it can be, okay. Mind it. It's done. What I'll do, same thing, CRUD, which the formula I said it to you. So I'm going to do kubectl create hyphen f what pod. Which namespace you want to create? This I'm creating in the default. This I'm creating in hyphen qa. So Q is there or no? kubectl get ns dev, sorry. So namespace dev. That means here. Now can I create a dev in 2 times? See that error. That's Rajesh is already available. So now I created one in the default. This is the default. If you want to see the dev one, this is the one. So now onwards I'll work on the default only. Why? Because I don't have to pass again and again and just save my energy. So now remember that any resources which you are creating in the namespace, default is the default namespace. If you want to create in any other namespace, you have to specify -n. Will you remember it? For every command you have to specify -n. Will you remember that, all of you?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so guys, how to describe? So here, kubectl describe what pod, which pod, Rajesh? It's in default. I'm working in the default, so I'm just lazy, so not typing -n is equal to dev again and again. So this is the this is the description. Whether you like it or not, please read it. Whether you understand or not, please read it. Each and every fields you need it. You need to get comfortable with each field slowly. Okay, so go through that. Now get pods -o wide. This is the way you can see the detailed one. Get pod -o show labels. Now you will say, how do you know that all this thing? Just a practice. So you will say, do we have any place where I can see all the practice? Guys, I'll teach you the magic commands. And this command is always remember -h. Any commands -h. So look at this pattern. kubectl, so many options. What else? Get -h, so many options. Describe any commands, so many options, and many examples also. Okay, so don't ask Google, don't ask anyone, just -h, and trust me, whatever you were looking, you will get it. These three commands. Every time you put h, you will get example plus more explanations. Okay, so this is a handy. Okay, so what I was doing, I created a pod, kubectl get pods. I created a pod, I described the pod. How can I edit the pod? Now let me edit the pod. So you can modify this pod.xml, and here I'm adding what? So team, what team? Rajesh team, something like that. I'm adding randomly. Okay, save it. What to do? Apply. See here the pattern I'm following. Apply. So what to do? kubectl apply -f and pod.yaml default namespace. Remember, and you see here. See here. There's a team Rajesh got up, done. Now what to do? I'll delete. How? kubectl delete -f pod.yaml. Yes, you can do through command line also, but I decided to show you only through YAML. Sorry. So guys, this is the working with the pod. Did you find out any difficulties so far, all of you?
No.
Okay, now guys, after creating a pod, of course you want to see the pod. So by the way, I've deleted the pod actually. So get pod from the default. Okay, dev is still there. I have not touched that. So deleted. I have deleted the pod. How can I create a pod in a different ways? There is one more ways, command line ways you can create a pod. By the way, I want to access the pod. So how can I access it? So let me create one more time. So this time I'll create a pod using run command. I don't know the commands entirely. So kubectl run -h, and here you have it. See, so many examples. You will practice it one by one, and so many options. Slowly you will get used to it. So now I am running the command in the default namespace. The run what name of the pod and from the image, and kubectl get pods. Here it is one pod. Now we'll create this pod also. So kubectl apply, also directly you can run it. Create also you can do that, apply also you can do that. And here kubectl get pods. So I created a pod, but how can I access it? So I need IP address. How? Look at this, Rajesh pod. What is IP address? curl, HTTP, dub, and 80 port I know is running on 80 port, so I did not pass it. Welcome to devops version 1. That port Rajesh is the my image actually. It's nginx and I replace that HTML. So like that. So if you do the curl this one, HTTP, here it is. Okay, so this is how you can access. How can I go inside a container of the pod? So Docker, you remember any one of you? How can you go inside a container in the Docker? Anyone?
Docker attach.
Exec. Okay, so here let me run this. So guys, kubectl get pods. Now I want to execute some command inside this container of this pod. So how do I do that? Kubectl exec what pod. See, if you have one container, you can use the pod name. If you have two containers, then I want you to find out -h options and then find out. Okay, so exec ls. See here, this is running in the container of that particular Rajesh pod. Okay, so you can run any commands as such and you will have all this information, but the question was how to get inside the container of that particular pod. So answer is exec -it and bin bash. See here, where are you right now? Where are you right now? Anyone?
Inside Rajesh pod.
Container pod is, you cannot be inside a pod. Mind it.
Container.
There is container. Pod is a logical unit. Always remember that. You can't be inside. Pod is not a physical entity. Components. Okay. So you are inside a container of that particular pod. Okay. So good. Exit. So I got inside this. So how do I see other stuff? So how do I copy some files? So let me get pods. How do I copy some files? So let me kubectl exec rajesh ls opt. See, nothing is there. Can I copy this pod.xml? So kubectl pod.yaml. Which pod I am to copy? Rajesh. Where you want to copy? Opt. So kubectl cp. I forgot the main command actually. Cp. Done. And exec. See here is there last one. So this is how you can copy. You can attach also. Attach. So what you see. So let me show you. kubectl attach what you want to attach to Rajesh container PID1. So you see, you think system got stuck? No, actually, let me open up a new console, Ubuntu, and clear the screen. Sudo now kubectl get ports -o wide, and this is the IP address of Rajesh. Let me show you the logs of this. This is how you troubleshooting. You can do that as a developer. So see here, one hit like that. Got it? So like that. So you can run this command also. So what I taught you, let me just review that. So what I wanted to do after creation, I wanted to access it. I access inside a container, inside a cluster. After that, I executed some command from outside. After that, I got inside it. After that, I copied some files over there. After that, I attached it. Correct now? All of you, are you understanding?
Yes,
Hello?
Rajesh.
Yes, Rajesh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now guys, you know what? I want to see I want to access the browser or the browser. In these machines, I don't have a browser. So what do we do in this case? In the Docker, do you remember that you used to do the port forwarding -p options? Okay, so guys, understand this. Pod IP address is not accessible outside of the cluster. Earlier in a Docker, container was not accessible outside of the host, but pod is not accessible outside of the cluster. Okay, so I am able to access because I am inside a cluster, but I cannot access this one. So what to do? So simple logic. Can I access the host? Yes. Can host access the container? Yes. So port forwarding. The question is, how can you do that? Honestly speaking, I don't remember the commands. If I don't remember the command, what I will do? -h. Only the things which you need to remember. So here I'll find Here I'll find port forward. Okay, so here after that I don't remember -h, and here so many examples are there. With a peace of mind I will read it and then copy some commands which will satisfy my requirement, and then good to go. So what is this? kubectl, what? Port forward. From where? All the address. Which pod? Rajesh pod. And what is the pod? What is the host? Host means worker node port. I don't care. What is the container port? I care because it's hard coded in the image only. This is the one. So what to do? Clear the screen. Port forwarding. Now guys, I need to remember the IP address of my host, which is, I pasted somewhere on top and somewhere here it is, any one, and here put number of 8888. Done. Understood? So this container was not accessible outside of the cluster. What I did? Port forwarded at where? Host, which I can access. So this is the way you can also work on this and get it done. So many commands I covered in just a short span of time, and I'm just seeing should I cover a few more or not. So let me check this. So check. Logs. One last command which I am having, logs. How can I see the logs of the container of that pod? So get kubectl got logs Rajesh. See here, these are all the logs of the container of Rajesh pod. So guys, this is the way I have worked on it, and I created the pod and I worked on it. So let me copy this all the commands as it is. So you will do that. So 126 here, 127 here. So guys, what I did, nothing great. I did basically CRUD of namespace and pod. The pod already I had explained it to you, so I did not repeat it. And namespace I explained it to you and did the CRUD. So now after this, next demo will be replication controller and deployment in one go. Any questions so far, all of you?